They called them finished, 5 stars on the shirt, and a whole country whispering that the magic was gone. Houston, the 29th of June, 96 minutes that will be replayed for a generation. We open their file. Minutia, one nation, one story. The fall before the triumph. Brazil, the most decorated name in the history of this sport, 5 World Cups. A yellow shirt that for 50 years meant fear in the heart of every defender alive. But they walked into this tournament carrying something heavier than any trophy. They walked in carrying doubt, their own. There was a new man on the touchline, Carlo Ancelotti, the most successful club coach who has ever lived, a winner of everything Europe can offer. And yet a man who, in a career spanning 4 decades, had never once stood in a World Cup dugout. Not as a manager. This was his first World Cup with the heaviest shirt in football, handed to an outsider by a nation that does not forgive failure. Understand what that shirt is supposed to mean. It is the most famous jersey in the history of the game. It is supposed to mean joy. It is supposed to mean the impossible made simple. The kind of football that makes grown men weep in stadiums on the other side of the planet. For generations, opponents were half-beaten the moment those yellow shirts walked out of the tunnel. That was the inheritance Ancelotti was handed. Not a team, a religion. And a congregation that had started to lose its faith. Across from them stood a Japan side that fears none of that history. A nation that has spent 20 years quietly building, improving, refusing to be impressed by famous names. They did not come to Houston to survive Brazil. They came to beat them. And for 56 minutes, every doubter in the world looked right. Japan do not flinch. They do not fear the yellow shirt. They press in waves, they pass through the lines, and they wait for the one mistake that always comes. In the 29th minute, it comes. A counterattack, sudden and surgical, slicing straight through the heart of the Brazilian defense. Kaishu Sano arrives at the end of it. No hesitation, no second touch. He finishes. 1-0 Japan. The Brazilian bench freezes. Inside the stadium in Houston, a sea of yellow that traveled across the world to celebrate falls silent. And Brazil do what Brazil always do. They take the ball. 70% of it. Pass after pass after pass. But there is nothing behind the possession. Sideways, backwards, into a wall of blue shirts that simply will not break. Beautiful and toothless. Halftime, 1-0 to Japan. And in that silence you can feel the old fear creeping back up the spine of a nation. What if the whispers were true? What if the Kings really are gone? What if 5 stars on a shirt is just history, and history does not win you football matches? But here is what should have worried Japan. Carlo Ancelotti does not panic. This is a man who has won finals and lost finals, who has stood on the touchline of the biggest nights this sport has ever produced. He has seen every kind of football match a human being can see, and in that dressing room at halftime, he does not tear his players apart. He sharpens them, he changes the angles. He waits. The 56th minute, a ball swings in toward the back post, and there, climbing above everyone, is Casemiro. Not a forward. A midfielder, a warrior who has spent his whole life doing the dirty work so others can shine. He rises and he powers his header into the net. 1-1, now the yellow wakes up. Now the stadium remembers exactly what it came here to see. Brazil push, and they push, and the minutes begin to bleed away. 70, 80, 90. The 4th official lifts the board, added time, and still it is 1 apiece, a draw that, for a team with 5 stars on its chest, would feel exactly like a defeat. The headlines are already being written. Brazil in crisis. The Kings dethroned, 90 minutes and 5, the 6th minute of stoppage time. The very last breath of the match. Bruno Guimaraes lifts his head and he sees the run. And he finds him. Gabriel Martinelli, a substitute. A man sent onto the pitch for one reason only, to change the ending of a story. He takes the ball at the edge of the area, he opens his body and he does not blast it. He curls it, slow, deliberate, almost cruel. The ball bends away from the goalkeeper and kisses the far corner of the net. Goal. 2-1, Brazil. In the 96th minute. The bench empties onto the grass. Carlo Ancelotti, the man who had never coached a single World Cup match in his life, stands still on the touchline as an entire nation finally breathes out. The Kings are not dead. Not tonight. But do not mistake this for a coronation, because here is the truth that Brazil understand better than anyone watching. One comeback is not redemption. A 96th-minute winner against Japan does not erase the doubt. It only delays the verdict. For an hour, they were second best against a team that does not carry 5 stars, a team that does not carry the weight of history. They were rescued by a substitute and a single moment of magic. That is not dominance. That is survival. And survival has a habit of running out. The favourites should be worried, not comforted. The winner of Ivory Coast against Norway is waiting in the round of 16 on the 5th of July. And every question that Japan asked of this Brazil, the next opponent has now seen, written down and studied. Brazil did not prove they were back. They proved they were still breathing. And in a World Cup, there is a vast difference between the two. The fall has been written. The triumph has not. And the file stays open. If this hit, like it, share it with one football friend, and subscribe. A new file opens tomorrow. The files never close.